Winnowing. Wind winnowing is an agricultural method developed by ancient cultures for separating grain from chaff. In its simplest form, it involves throwing the mixture into air so that the wind blows away the lighter chaff while the heavier grains fall back down for recovery. Techniques included using a winnowing fan, a shaped basket shaken to raise the chaff, or using a tool, a winnowing fork or shovel, on a pile of harvested grain.
Alright, once again, I want to give our praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Give double honors to the apostles of GMS that rule well. Alright, this is Makazar from the Trinidad camp. I want to do a little class. The times that we're in right now. Right, the things that we see going on around with brothers around the world. Alright, right now we can see the time approaching. The scriptures say, provoke one another unto good works, as we see the time drawing close, and that is what we see right now. Alright, we see the prophecies hasten to come to pass. So as the apostle said, is the year the push, is the year when brothers really supposed to be diligent in that word and diligent to keeping the house in order. Alright, because right now we see brothers falling out left and right. So the most right now, what Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, what he doing right now, he in the midst of if you want to call it spring cleaning. That is because we see brothers falling off left and right now. Right, so that is even more reason for brothers to fear. Alright, to make sure that they in good dealings with the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Right, so let me get to the scriptures. This first scripture is 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 1. It says, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be to them that obey not the gospel of the Most High? So now, judgment beginning with the men that out here calling upon the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Alright, evidently gonna be around the whole earth, because the scripture said he's gonna punish them that are circumcised with them that are uncircumcised, Edom with the house of Judah. Right, so that is the 2/3 of Israel along with the other nations. But before that time come, guess what? Judgment gonna begin with the men that calling upon the name of the Most High and going out and doing his work. Alright, so we gotta make sure that when we be judged, we could more or less be in the favor of the Most High. Alright, because right now that is where you're seeing brothers falling off left and right. Because why? Because really and truly they weren't, how to say, grounded in the truth to begin with. Alright, that is one reason why brothers had to be humble in this thing. Alright, in this faith, because the scriptures, even Paul said, lest I myself be a castaway. We don't know who the elect is. We don't know if we are part of the elect. We're hoping. Alright, so there's nothing to be proud about. Alright, because right now Mosiah Hashem Yahushai, he ain't playing in these last days. Alright, he ain't playing, and what he doing, he getting rid of all the unwanted vessels or unclean vessels out of his sanctuary. Alright, and brothers who came in probably thinking that this word is something to do, it's a new thing, might get a little publicity, people, your face showing up on YouTube, people talking about your name calling. This is not what it's about. Alright, and it's seen brothers like that falling off. Alright, this is Matthew 3 verse 12. It says, whose fan is in his hand, and he will thoroughly purge his floor and gather his wheat into the garner, but he will burn up the chaff with unquenchable fire. Now, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai right now, he purging his floor. Alright? He purging his floor. He getting rid of all the men that he don't want in his sanctuary. Alright? That is why he said judgment beginning at us. He getting rid of the men he don't want. Alright? Now when you look up that word fan, what it says, the word fan says what? A winnowing shovel. Alright? A winnowing shovel. Alright? Because with the Lord comparing Israel to corn, and he says what? Like, and wheat. And with that winnowing shovel, they toss it in the air, and all the unwanted objects, the wind more or less take them away, and only the pure wheat remain. The pure wheat representing the elect. Alright? And the chaff and all the other unwanted stuff is the men that wasn't worthy of this word. Alright? When you look up winnowing, it says what? On wikipedia.com. Winnowing. It says what? Wind winnowing is an agricultural method developed by ancient cultures for spreading grain from shaft. It is also used to remove weevils like small insects or other pests from stored grain. Alright? And the weevils and the pests will be like what? Men that came into this word, the scriptures talk about they crept in unawares. Alright? That is why the scripture said what? He built them back up the tabernacles of David and closing up the breaches. So all those weevils and pests that made it in through the breaches. Guess what? The Lord getting rid of them and closing up them breaches. So the only thing that remain is what? Is the pure grain. Alright? It says threshing and loosing the grain or seeds from the husk and straw is the step of chaff removal process that comes before winnowing. In its simplest form, it involves throwing the mixture into the air so that the wind blows away the lighter chaff. Alright, the lighter chaff, while the heavier grains shall fall back down for recovery. Alright, and that is what's going on right now, and evidently leading up to the time when the Lord actually coming with his angels to deliver the elect, and the ones that will be recovered. Alright, for recovery, there's another word for recovery, redeemed. Alright, will be what? The elect. And the ones that fall back will be what? The lighter chaff. Is who? Is it 2/3? Alright. It says this techniques included using a winnowing fan, a shaped basket shaken to raise a shaft, or using a tool, a winnowing fork or shovel on a pile of harvested grain. Winnowing can also be described by the removal of fine material from a coarser sediment by wind or flowing water, analogous to the agricultural separation of wheat from chaff. Right? So that is what the Lord doing right now. He using that winnowing shovel to get rid of the wheat from the chaff. And right now the wind blowing away the chaff. And the chaff is what? The chaff is doctrines. The chaff is, most I probably when they take his spirit from men, they get weary. Alright. However, from the wind come, guess what? The wind blowing away the shaft. Now when you look up that word shaft, let me see what that word shaft means. It says shaft is a dry, scaly protective casing of the seeds of cereal grain, or familiar fine, dry, scaly plant material such as scaly parts of flowers, or finely chopped straw. Chaff is indigestible by humans. So guess what? Most are only really dealing with chaff because what? It's unfit for human use. But livestock can eat it, and in agriculture it is used as livestock fodder, or is a waste material plowed into the soil or burnt. Or burnt. And guess what? Evidently, that is what's going to happen with the shaft. Most High going to burn them. The scripture said that they're going to be tossed into that lake of fire. Which is what? Which is World War III. Alright? Which is World War III. Alright? We go back to Matthew chapter 3. It says, whose fan is in his hand, and he will thoroughly purge his floor. We take a look at that floor. It says floor. Alright? A ground plot or threshing floor. A place in the field made hard after harvest by roller, where the grain is threshed out. Didn't Mosai call Israel a pleasant land? Alright? So he planted his vineyard. So that floor represents what? Represents the men of Israel. Alright? And the ones that will be pure will be who? Will be the elect. Alright? Will be the elect. Take a look at that word purge. It says what? To thoroughly cleanse. So the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua gonna thoroughly cleanse the elect. Alright? So like all these scoffers and all these men who just tagging along, guess what? They ain't gonna be around anymore. The scripture say gonna be a shaking in the house of Israel. And all these shaft and weavers, they gonna fall off. And only the grain, the pure grain gonna remain. Alright? This is Proverbs 20 verse 26. A wise king scattereth the wicked and bringeth the wheel over them. Alright? So the wise king, who's that wise king? The wise king is Yahweh Shai. Alright? Coming all the way down to Apostle Taha, because guess what? Apostle Taha doing the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai's will here on earth. So when Apostle Taha kicks somebody out, or GMS or one of the other apostles, guess what? That is actually Yahweh Hashem Yahushai scattering that wicked. That is actually Yahweh Hashem Yahushai scattering that wicked. And when he said he bringeth the wheel over them, guess what? That wheel, like that great millstone, alright, which is that great millstone, alright, when the apostles pass that judgment, the time when Yahweh Hashem Yahushai come, guess what? They're gonna be destroyed. Alright, they're gonna be destroyed. You look up that word, this word scatter. Comes from what? The Hebrew word zara, which means what? To scatter, fan, cast away, winnow. Alright, winnow. Disperse, compass, spread, be scattered, be dispersed. So they're gonna be scattered into the air. So they ain't gonna remain in this small sanctuary. They're gonna remain on this good ground. Alright? Scripture talk about building upon this foundation. They're gonna remain on that foundation. Alright, because what? They're gonna be cast away. Alright, look here, the shaft, which are the men that crept in unaware, or the scripture, when the scripture says that what? A man casts his net into the sea and pulling the good and the bad gonna be cast away. Alright? Scripture said the bad gonna be cast away. So they're gonna be cast back and cast into utter darkness. Alright? It's Proverbs 25 verse 4. It says, take away the dross from the silver, and there shall come forth a vessel of finer. Alright? And that is what the Most High doing. He removing that dross. He said, I refined you. Alright? Look up that word dross. The word dross means what? Say moving back or away. Dross, usually silver. So a moving back is by what? Separating the goat from the sheep. Separating those men who not fit for the kingdom from the men that are fit for the kingdom. Alright? It says what? In the sense of refuse. And what the refuse would be? The refuse would be what? The shaft. Alright? From that winnowing process. That would be the refuse. Alright? Right? That would be the refuse. Alright? So what he says. Let me go back. Let me go back to that. It says what? Take away the dross from the silver, and there shall remain a vessel for the finer. So that is what the Most High looking for. He looking for clean vessels to place in His house. All right. So all that wickedness where the brothers might have in them, the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai purging that. And if it have a brother who in the camp that not supposed to be in the camp because he's utterly wicked, the scripture said reprobate silver. What he said? He said what? They are very evil. So men like that, guess what? They will be totally cast out. All right. They whole body will be leavened. All right. And what would remain will be what? A vessel for the finer vessels, pure vessels. All right. Verse 5, it says, take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness. So guess what? Yahweh Hashem Yahushai wants to establish his kingdom in righteousness. So he getting rid of all those men that are not fit for the kingdom. All right. Those same spirits that was back there, that in the ancient times, that wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, and men who came in here and basically they brought the niggard attitude into the truth, and don't want to cast off that old man. Guess what? Those will be the wicked that will be taken away from before the king. All right. They will be the ones that will be cast off. All right. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2. Verse 20, it says, but in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, some to honor and some to dishonor. All right. So the men of honor would be who? The elect, and the some to honor would be what? The 2/3. All right. Men that came in the truth and not being the that man of the Lord. All right. So you're gonna have the good and the bad in the truth. All right, or in the camp. All right, brothers who being niggers, probably backbiting or or trying to, or they're stealing. They're just tagging along. Brothers like that, murmuring. Scriptures talk about murmuring. All right, they are vessels of dishonor. All right, same brother, but then he actually ain't being brotherly. All right, those are what vessels of what of dishonor. But the men that doing exactly what the scripture said, being what when the scripture said the epistles written in our heart, these are the men of honor, the men that try their best to do right. All right, so all those men that ain't doing what they're supposed to do according to the scriptures, all right, who have a form of righteousness, but really and truly they inside they're not righteous. They're like the old scribes and Pharisees. All right, like white sepulchres. All right, the outside clean, but inside they really just filthy. And the Most High don't look at the outside, the Most High look at the inside. That is why he says search the heart. And during this shaking process, this winnowing process, the men of dishonor, all right, they're gonna feel that winnowing process, and the wind gonna take them away. All right. It says, if a man purge himself of these, he shall be a vessel unto honor. So yeah, that is what we have to do. Stop being a nigger and be the man that the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai called you to be. All right, and not being a nigger of the world, and then expecting that that once you're doing this work that the Most High dealing with you, because you're only deceiving yourself. All right, sanctified and meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work. All right, so you have to be sanctified. And how are you gonna be sanctified? How are you gonna be sanctified? By what? By winnowing. All right, you're gonna be winnowing. Alright? Says what? When I look at the word purge, says what? To be cleansed thoroughly. So that is how you have to be sanctified. Alright? That is how you have to be sanctified. To be thoroughly purged. Thoroughly clean. Alright? That is what the Lord looking for. And some brothers are gonna actually fail that winnowing process. Alright? Going on. And meet for the master's use. Yeah, because you're in the truth, you ain't doing what you're doing, and you expect that the Lord gonna be dealing with you. Lord most ain't gonna be dealing with you if you're being a vessel of dishonor. Alright? You're only deceiving your own self. Right now we see the days drawing near where the Lord gonna judge the earth. And men had to start to prepare themselves, prepare their mind for that day. Alright? You can't be in this truth and want to and thinking about yourself. You have to think about the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Hey, me had to please. So you have to do everything in that that within your power to please Him. Alright? Because you know within your wicked heart that what you're doing not right. So then do what right. Because in the day when Yahweh Hashem Yahushua show His face, guess what? It's gonna be too late to say do right. Scripture says, seek the Lord before the evil days come. Alright? Ecclesiastes 12:1. Alright? Matthew 13:41. It says, the Son of Man shall send forth His angels, and they shall gather out of His kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity. Right? So that is what the Lord gonna do. He gonna gather all those things. Because right now is the time of harvesting. Alright? And He gonna gather out all those things that offend. Alright? All the chaff, all the weevils, all the kingdom. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua gonna get rid of all those. Alright? And as I said, those chaff and those weevils and pests, they are the men that not fit for the kingdom. That the Lord saw that they weren't fit. Alright, that those unfaithful servants, those servants that probably kept in the back of their mind that once they in the truth, once they calling upon the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, they already have a seat secured in the chariots. But guess what? That is not being humble. That is actually being proud. Alright. It says, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. And why gonna be wailing and gnashing of teeth? Because why? Because when it had the time to do good, he wasn't doing good. He was actually just being an outright nigger. But in the day when you see the destruction coming, guess what? That is when you're gonna want to be to act right, to get your garments clean. But then it will be too late. But the scripture said the Most High is not mocked. Alright, whatsoever a man soweth, the same shall he reap. Alright. It says Revelation 14 verse 14. It says, and I looked, and behold a white cloud. That white cloud was what? A chariot. And upon the cloud sat one like unto the Son of Man, which is Yahushua, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. Alright. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice unto him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. Now guess what? That's gonna be at the end. That is when when those missiles been shot off during World War III, and in Revelation 18 it says what? Come out over my people. Right? When it says come out over my people, that's actually when Yahushua gonna trust in his sickle and reap. And the ones that Yahushua gonna reap is who? The elect. Alright, he gonna reap the elect. Alright. Verse 16. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar which had the power over fire, which would be what? Those nuclear missiles. Alright, for the day of that great judgment. Alright, and cried with a loud voice to him that had a sharp sickle, saying, trust in thy sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And those grapes will be what? Those grapes that were left back, those grapes that the Lord didn't want, they refuse. Alright, and the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of Yahweh. Because why? The ones that fell into that great winepress was who? Was the shaft. The men that actually didn't have faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to continue in the word. Alright, to continue in this word and do exactly what it is the Lord called them to do. Alright? Have men have problems with following orders, but yet saying that Yahweh Hashem Yahushai dealing with me. You know, they speaking evil of brothers. They ain't studying. Alright? They ain't doing the work of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai willingly. The scriptures talk about a free will offering. Doing this work is like a free will offering. Alright? And these men actually doing the work like if it's a burden unto them. These men will be what? These will be shaft. But the men that you know doing it with all diligence, they would be men that would be what? The wheat. The pure wheat that will be left back, that will be taken up to be the place in the kingdom of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And that is what we seeking for, that is what we hoping for, that is the purpose we doing this work, to enter into that rest. Alright, because why? We ain't trying to end up into the great winepress. Alright, verse 20, and the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse's bridle, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Alright, so we ain't trying to end up into that winepress. We're trying to make it into the chariots of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Alright, so my advice is that brothers right now be on the P's and Q's, do everything that humanly possible for them to do, to make sure that they be considered wheat. Alright, that they ain't be considered shaft, that when in his dear time to endure that winnowing, guess what? That they actually fall back and remain with the Lord and not be driven away into the wind. Alright, so with that, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Give double honors to the apostles of GMS, Apostle Taha, Apostle Raka, Apostle Gaban, Apostle Ariamlab. Alright, and all the sincere brothers, the sincere wheat out there that pushing this word in sincerity and truth. I want to say shalom.